Matt Jeffery was punched and killed outside a nightclub on the Greek island of Zante back in 2019. For 6 years, police have maintained that 2 men from Essex were the attackers. They were arrested and later convicted. But now a Sky News investigation has identified a possible new suspect, a man who has potentially evaded justice for years. Our home editor, Jason Farrell, has been looking into what happened that night. He's uncovered a series of police and prosecution failings, as well as a family desperately waiting for justice. This is Jason's report.
This is seconds before a fatal punch caught on camera. The victim, 35-year-old Matt Jeffery, an AA man, husband, father. His family have waited 6 years for justice.
I know a lot of people say it, you know, when people die, how amazing people were, but he genuinely was like the most amazing human being. He really was, you know, 1 in a million.
It happened in May 2019 on a nightclub strip on the party island of Zakynthos, known as Zante. Matt was here on a stag-do with his friends from Somerset. He wasn't initially involved when a fight broke out in a club called Sizzle, all captured on CCTV. Friends on the stag talked me through it.
Yeah, that's you in the...
I'm here with the white sleeveless vest.
Yeah.
I then see this guy jump over my shoulder who's working behind the bar. So I follow him in to try and mediate and to pull people apart.
Matt's group leaves quickly, but the others, a group from Essex, seen with their shirts off, follow them out. We've obtained video footage from someone who was outside the club.
The footage, which was filmed exactly at this spot, we're not showing in full at the request of Matt Jeffery's family. But in it, he's clearly stood with his arms open wide, not posing a threat.
Not at all. If you want it, they all seen it, mate. They all seen it.
When he is slapped in the side of the head by someone standing here, and then almost immediately punched in the face, falling back, and then the 2 assailants walk off at first and then run off up the street.
I didn't see the punch. I saw as Matt hit the deck. The sound that I heard will never leave me.
Matt was airlifted to hospital but died of multiple head injuries.
You don't realise how fragile life is until something like this happens. Like, 1 minute someone's there, next minute they're gone, and it only takes 1 punch.
2 men, Luke Brownston and Adam O'Brien, were charged, released on bail and 4 years later convicted of manslaughter and given 12 and 10-year sentences. But they didn't turn up to court in Patras on the Greek mainland. Only after we began investigating 6 years after the attack did Greek police issue extradition papers for one of the men, Luke Brownston, the man who threw the fatal punch. He was then arrested in Essex. But what of Adam O'Brien? Well, he had claimed in a court statement that he didn't hit Mr. Jeffery. It was another man in his group called William Locke. We've seen a photo in Sizzle, date stamped on the night of the attack. In it, Adam O'Brien is wearing dark shorts, even though the police identify him as this man wearing white shorts. The shot inside Sizzle shows William Locke wearing white shorts. And there's another photo of him from the trip wearing them again. There's a thin black piping down the side. They look like the ones worn by the assailant in the video. Extradition lawyer Karen Todner now represents Adam O'Brien.
I think the main failing was that the Greek police failed to take witness statements from any of the group. By not taking those witness statements, they allowed William Locke to leave, and the fact is they got the wrong guy.
But this is Mr. Locke, according to witness statements from 4 of the Essex group gathered by Karen Todner. And there's a facial mapping expert report where the man in the video is called Person Y and compared to photos of Mr. Locke. It finds skin tone, build, forehead height and slope all similar. Brow ridge, eyebrows, nose root, similar. It says, I conclude there is strong support to the contention that Person Y and Mr. Locke are the same person. But with O'Brien, he says there is strong support that Person Y and Mr. O'Brien are not the same person. This evidence was rejected on appeal last December, although Adam O'Brien's sentence was downgraded, and it does raise questions for the family.
We wouldn't want an innocent person to go to prison for a crime they haven't done. And we can only hope that if they've got the ability to clear his name, then they can get the correct person convicted for assisting in this crime.
William Locke lives in Colchester and has never been questioned about the attack.
We've come to Colchester really just to give this to William Locke and put to him these allegations that he is this man.
I want to ask you about the death of Matt Jeffery. Were you involved in the fatal assault of Matt Jeffery, Mr. Locke? Can I give you this? Mr. Locke, can I give you this? Is that you? Is that you? Were you involved in the assault of Matt Jeffery? Mr. Locke, can you take this?
We've approached police in Zante with our evidence and had no response. Luke Brownston has not responded and awaits extradition proceedings.
Can I give you this?
Adam O'Brien hasn't spoken to us, but his parents in a statement insisted he was wrongly convicted while expressing sympathy to the Jeffery family.
Everyone needed a Matt Jeffery because he was just so kind. He was hardworking. He loved me and the girls, his family, his friends.
We have pictures in our houses, we have pictures in our head, of him, fun-loving Matt, and his smile. Which brings us back to how badly he's missed. For something so unnecessary.
Jason Farrell, Sky News.
Well, earlier on today, I sat down with Matt's wife, Charlotte, after she'd watched Jason's reports. And I started by asking her how she first heard about what had happened to her husband on that day back in 2019.
I think he had texted me that morning on Thursday when they arrived safe and sound, and then I didn't hear from him again for the rest of the day because I kind of just left him to it. He was with his friends and was hoping he was having a good time. I then received a phone call at about 11 o'clock that evening to say that he had, been assaulted and he was in a coma. We then couldn't get a flight until, I think it was the following day, it was probably in the afternoon, and we didn't arrive in Greece until late that evening. So it's probably nearly 24 hours after it happened that we were actually by his bedside.
And Charlotte, I can only imagine how difficult it was to travel out there knowing only the scarcest of details as to what happened to Matt. Can you talk to me about what happened when you arrived at the hospital? Because I would imagine for you, as Matt's wife, that was perhaps the most difficult point of all of this.
We were aware that he was in a coma, so we knew it was serious. However, I never actually imagined on the way over that he wasn't going to survive. When we arrived at the hospital, it was pretty deserted. There wasn't, we couldn't find any staff around. We couldn't read any of the signs because it was all in Greek, so we had absolutely no idea where we were going, and we ended up having to ask a patient that was wandering around in one of the corridors as to how to get to the intensive unit. So I don't know how long it took us to find where we were going, and we were greeted by some staff who took us directly to a side room. We didn't even go and see Matt straight away, and they were quite blunt with how, they were very professional in what they were saying, but they kind of gave it to us there and then to say that they didn't think that he was going to survive his injuries, and we had to start thinking about organ donation.
Sadly, Matt didn't survive his injuries, and as a grieving family, you're also given the difficult task in trying to find out what happened to him, trying to find those responsible, and getting justice for your husband. And in those early stages, the police investigation seemed to be moving at pace and going in the right direction.
Yes, while we were over there, we had been informed by the British Embassy, I believe, that 2 men had been arrested, and we were told there and then that they would remain in custody until a court date. They were held and then released. They had to wait to see what the outcome was with Matt. So once he had passed away, they could then be formally charged. They were charged, and then we found out from the press that they were then on a flight home the following day.
You then had to pick up this fight for justice yourself as a family. Talk me through that, because you actually had to set up a crowdfunder to get your day in court.
So we had to pay for the court proceedings privately as a family. One or two of our friends and family had suggested setting up a GoFundMe page because everybody at the time wanted to help. So it was suggested that, maybe they could help us raise the money to pay for it. So I put that out online, only expecting to have raised maybe £1,000 or £2,000, to support the cost, because we also didn't know how much it was going to cost at the time. And we managed to raise about £16,000, which helped towards the cost of the first court proceedings to pay for the lawyer.
Did you have any help from the UK authorities at this point?
No, we haven't had any at all.
No. Does that need to change?
I think so, yes, because, if I personally didn't deal with any of the court proceedings, the lawyers, and if it hadn't been for Matt's brother James and the support that he had, I would have had absolutely no idea what route to have gone down. And, we did, I have to say, we did have a visit from the local, from the police at one point, but basically he came over here to tell me that there's nothing that they could do, and they would only really step in if the men didn't turn up to court, and then the warrant was out for their arrest. But when it comes to appointing a lawyer, sorting out all the legal proceedings, we had no support at all.
I know that this is something that you really feel passionately about in terms of lads' holidays abroad, and I think Jason in his documentary said, spirits are high, inhibitions are low, and we know that blokes getting scraps on lads' holidays. But given what happened to Matt, it's something that you want to talk about and warn people of the dangers of.
We all get angry, but, violence isn't the answer. If you've got anger issues, reach out, get yourself some help, speak to somebody, because 9 times out of 10, if you punch someone, they will get back up again, but you have got that slim chance that they won't get back up again. Not only you're ruining their lives, you're ruining their families' lives, their friends' lives, but also in your own life, your friends' families. It's such a knock-on effect, it's such a big ripple effect, and it just causes a lot of pain and devastation. So just think twice, before you go out and throw that punch.
What was your reaction when you found out the extent of the police failings, much of which is laid out in black and white in Jason's documentary?
It's just very shocking, because you kind of leave it in their hands and you feel that they're doing everything correctly and everything that they possibly can. It's mind-blowing, really. And it's cost a lot of time and it's cost a lot of money.
Talk to us about Matt and what you want to do in his name and the justice you're seeking for him.
As you've seen in the report, and everybody that knew him, he was just amazing. He was kind, he was gentle, he was hardworking, he would help anybody out. He was either at work on the side of the road, fixing people's cars. He was very hands-on husband and father. He did all the jobs around the house. He helped friends in need, and it wasn't just with their cars. He was prone to be known to be like laying laminate flooring in his parents' house and his friend's house. He was, putting up fence panels. He was very hands-on, very active, and and like I said before, he loved me and the girls so much.
Charlotte Jeffrey's talking to me a little earlier. Jason is here. We brought you his report at the top of the programme, to which Charlotte was reacting. An incredible composure, strength and dignity, really, from Charlotte. I know you've spoken to her at length about what happened to her husband, Matt. And just her reaction to the incredible failings, some of which she knew, some of which she was going through for the first time through your report. Police failings such as a man is killed and witnesses and suspects allowed to leave the island and return to the UK.
Yeah, I think, and look, yeah, absolutely testament to this family and the friends who've helped us compile this report, who were there, who've had to relive what they went through, and the family have gone, talked through all the things that they've gone through. And it really does show how they have pulled together, and it really is them who has made this happen and paid for it to happen through the courts and got the justice as much as they have thus far for Matt. But when we came to this, the original failing was actually these two guys were still walking free, and that the extradition papers hadn't been filed 2 years after the trial. So that was the thing that brought us into it. But then what we discovered were all these other failings. Like you say, the fact that the two suspects were allowed to leave the island was one, but then also that they were there with a group, there were 7 of them there. They only interviewed the 2 suspects. They didn't interview any of the other group to say, have we got the right people? And one of them, we're saying there was strong evidence to suggest it might have been him, was on a plane getting off the island. So firstly, they didn't do that. But secondly, we see that they've got this video. I mean, they've got everything they needed. They had a CCTV of the build-up in the club. They could see what led to what happened. And then you didn't need forensics. You didn't need, a very really deep forensic investigation into what happened because it's captured on video. And you can see the faces of the people and the physique of the people and what they're wearing. And they appear to have not corroborated that with doing, for example, an identification parade with, here's the guys who we suspect it is. So that seemed extraordinary that they did that. And then to, of course, have them in custody. And then they have this police statement saying that they've confessed. Both of them have confessed. But very clearly in the court documents, you can see that one of them, Adam O'Brien, is saying in police custody, it's not me. So where this confession comes from, we don't know because it's not written down anywhere. It's just a police officer saying it. So there were all sorts of suspicions around this. And then finally as well, the image of them in the club, all the way through, we're talking about a guy who's wearing white shorts. And we can see that William Locke in the club is wearing white shorts. And Adam O'Brien, the man they suspect is the man in the white shorts, is wearing black shorts. So these kind of things really jumped out to us as serious failings in the police investigation.
All of this you've put together, you've got a longer documentary, 24 minutes, The Punch, on YouTube, for those of you who want to go and watch more and look at the case that you've presented, you and your team, with the blessing of the Jeffreys families and those involved. And talking to Charlotte, she's very clear about what she wants to happen now. She wants some kind of reaction from UK authorities, and she hopes this other potential suspect to speak out, cooperate in whatever way he can, because for her and Matt's friends, true justice, they don't feel has been served.
Yeah, and I think, look, when we first met the family, they've been through a lot. They've been through 6 years, and I don't think they've really welcomed the idea of, look, there's someone else out there who might be a suspect. I think that was
exhausting for them.
I just think that was just so much to put on them, actually, and they've taken it really well. And I think now they need time to reflect. I don't think they can expect much from the Greek authorities. We certainly had no response from them. But there are local police, and if you think about it, actually all the evidence is here. The witnesses are here. The people who gave those testimonies. The video is accessible here. The CCTV is accessible here. So everything could be gathered and investigated in this country. And I think perhaps that will be something. And I know one thing that Charlotte said to you and has mentioned to me, if this guy who we're saying is potentially got suspicion on him, he could come out and help the authorities. And he could say, look, it's not me, or he could talk to authorities. I think that the family would, certainly welcome him talking to the police.
OK. Jason, thank you. As I said, The Punch available on YouTube, and you can see it here on Sky News at 9 o'clock on Friday night. Jason Farrell, thank you.